Welcome into Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We're coming to you from our homes on this fine-looking Tuesday afternoon. We'll be here for the next couple of hours talking local, regional, and national sports topics. So stick around. We're going to have fun. Hope y'all do too. Wade, what's happening?
Good to be with you, Mo, man. Good to see you and see everybody. You're right. It is gorgeous outside, and we'll enjoy it for today. And excited for a good show here on this Ripping and Running Tuesday.
Should be a lot of fun, man. In the second hour, we will be joined, as we typically are on Tuesdays, not always, but we certainly try, given everybody's schedule cooperating, with the Blue Raider voice, the pride of the dimple, Chip Walters. He will get us updated on everything Blue Raider. And, wasn't a great weekend on the hardwood for either the Blue Raiders or the Lady Raiders. But hey, hope springs eternal. They both got shots this weekend, this week, of doing some damage, and looking forward to talking to Chip about that. By the way, I will kind of break the seal on that right now. Middle Tennessee State hosts Chattanooga tonight. It's a 7:00 start, and tickets are available. Go to goblueraiders.com/tickets. If you want to see the Blue Raiders and the Mocs tonight at the Glass House. But yeah, we'll talk more to Chip about that at the top of the next hour. In the next segment, we will be joined by JAMESETTA Cleveland of Sports Mom U. JAMESETTA is always bringing knowledge regarding the NCAA and recruitment and all of that other good stuff. So we've not talked to her for a while. It's always fun when we do. Looking forward to doing so. There was a interesting announcement earlier today by the NCAA, or regarding the NCAA, and excited to tap into her insight on that and other stuff. So JAMESETTA Cleveland will join us in the next segment. Again, Chip Walters will join us at the top of the 3:00 hour. We'll also talk some other hoops. We'll talk a little softball, talk some high school basketball, some NBA. I mean, it is basketball season, so we're going to do a lot of basketball here over the last little bit, but plenty, as Wade says, to tap into, plenty to look forward to here over the next couple of hours, and excited to get into it. So I guess, Wade, we ought to go ahead and do that. With no further ado, let's get to yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Buckle up, boys and girls. Tuesday Rundown is here. It is off. It is running. And let's start with yesterday's scores. And let's start in baseball action, where Oak Ridge defeated Alabama Christian 18-0 yesterday. Battle Creek with a shutout 10-0 versus Culleoka. Beach was a 5-2 winner versus Stewart's Creek. Brentwood and Franklin played a close game. 7-6 was your final in favor of Brentwood. 14-0. It was Clarksville Academy knocking off West Creek. Columbia Academy 10 runs better than FRA, 14-1 your final there. 12-2 in favor of Mount Pleasant, topping Cornersville yesterday afternoon. White House Heritage 8, Dale, Oklahoma 6. It was Fairview with a 4-3 win over the Middle Tennessee Monarchs. Fayetteville tops Franklin Road Christian 4-0. It was Good Pasture 1, Soddy Daisy 0. Hampshire with a 15-0 win versus Frank Hughes. Hendersonville 8, Stewart's Creek 6. Summit picks up a 2-1 win versus Independence. 10-4 was the score. Liberty Creek over Gordonsville yesterday. Mars Hill Bible, that's out of Alabama. They defeat Loretto 6-4. McMinn Central took care of Giles County 5-0. Warren County with an 11-1 win versus Murfreesboro Central Magnet. Page downing Nolensville 6-5. Webb School picking up a 1-0 win versus Providence Christian. Ravenwood 7, Centennial 4. Rossview on top of Springfield yesterday 10-0. Eagleville with a 13-3 win versus Spring Hill. Final few here. Tullahoma 6-0 over Columbia. Middle Tennessee Christian with an 8-1 win versus University School of Nashville. Watertown blanking Monterey 5-0, and Westmoreland taking care of Macon County 5-4.
In softball action on Monday, Blackman down Murfreesboro Central 15-3. Columbia Central with a 15-0 win over Battle Creek. Columbia Academy edged Eagleville 7-6. It was Culleoka 12, Fayetteville 5. Wayne County with a 12-2 win over Mount Pleasant. Summertown picking up a pair of victories yesterday, defeating Grace Christian out of Knoxville 2-1 and Collierville 15-0. In boys soccer action yesterday, Marshall County with a 5-4 win over Columbia Academy. And from the association, it was the Sacramento Kings 132, the Memphis Grizzlies 122.
Other games on the docket. Let's go to today. One that just got started. Good Pasture taking on Pryor, Oklahoma. That game again starting at 2 p.m. At 4 o'clock today, Gallatin on the road at Lebanon. And Davidson Academy is traveling to Mount Juliet. 4 o'clock start time for Providence Christian, who's at the Webb School. 4:30 first pitch, Father Ryan at CPA. Loretto is at Coffee County. Smyrna is taking on Columbia. Other 4:30 starts include John Overton at East Nashville, Columbia Academy at Franklin Road Academy. White House Heritage versus Hilldale, Oklahoma to cap that 4:30 block. 5 p.m. we'll see Westmoreland and Macon County. Vero Beach, that's out of Florida, taking on Stewart's Creek. 5:30 showdowns between Harpeth and Waverly. Hampshire's on the road at Frank Hughes. Cornersville is taking on Mount Pleasant. 6 p.m. start times. Page at Nolansville. Oakland is traveling to Siegel. Kirkwood is on the road at Clarksville Academy. Battle Creek traveling to Culleoka. The Middle Tennessee Monarchs are at DCA. Brentwood is traveling to Franklin at 6 o'clock. And capping the 6 p.m. window, Watertown is at Monterey.
6:30 starts for Franklin Simpson out of Kentucky at Portland, crossing the border there. Beach and Riverdale play at 6:30. Blackman plays at Rockvale at 6:30. Also at 6:30, Shelbyville hosts Murfreesboro Central. Independence travels to Summit. Spring Hill is at Franklin County. Friendship Christian hosts Eagleville. University School of Nashville goes to Middle Tennessee Christian. At 7, White House Heritage faces Gulf Shores of Alabama. Also, White House is at Sycamore, and Ravenwood and Centennial play. I don't know what it is with Centennial, but we can't get start times for them. Maybe they just like to be flexible. Softball action, 5 o'clock. Mount Pleasant is at Battle Creek. Community goes to Blackman. Gallatin hosts Beach. Santa Fe is at Lewis County. Westmoreland is hosting Trousdale County. Again, those are all 5 o'clock softball starts. At 5:30, Rockvale is at Riverdale. Laverne is at Stewart's Creek at 6, and at 6:30, Siegel is at Oakland.
Other games on the docket tonight. Let's go boys soccer scoreboard for tonight. It'll be University School of Nashville traveling to Columbia Academy. That match gets underway at 5 p.m. Also at 5, Laverne is traveling to Smyrna. 5:30 showdown as Grace Christian Franklin will visit Middle Tennessee Christian. 6 o'clock start time for Wayne County, who's at Culleoka. Waverly is traveling to East Robertson. Other matches on the slate at 6 include Westmoreland at Jackson County. Cane Ridge is on the road at Lawson. Gallatin is traveling to Lebanon. Shelbyville will be at Spring Hill, and Agathos Classical will be at Zion Christian. 6:30 first touch for Siegel at Rockvale. 7 o'clock kickoff for Forest at Battle Creek. Hendersonville at Brentwood. Murfreesboro Central Magnet at Centennial. Stewart's Creek on the road tonight at Cookville. Coming down the stretch at 7 o'clock will be Mount Juliet at Oakland. Blackman is on the road at Riverdale tonight, and capping your soccer scoreboard will be Liberty Creek at White House. Men's college basketball, Chattanooga is at MTSU in the NIT opening round. That game gets underway at 7 o'clock. You can see it on ESPN+. NHL action, the Preds are at home tonight taking on the St. Louis Blues. Should be a fun little showdown at 7 o'clock. They will get things on there in Music City, and you can see that game on FanDuel Sports South. That brings us to the end of the Tuesday schedule. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the Tuesday Rundown.
Story brought to you as always by the fine folks at Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch items available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And, you know, as dictated by their payroll, the Dodgers, there are some that would tell you they got a pretty good shot at going 162-0. And after this morning's activity this morning here stateside. It's a little later, I guess, in Tokyo, but the Dodgers still got a chance to go 162-0 after beating the Chicago Cubs 4-1 in the opening game of the Major League Baseball season.
Can't win them. Yeah, can't win them all till you win the first one. And good win for the Dodgers to start off early in the morning. But Yamamoto just absolutely kind of doing what he does best, crafty at times, buckling some knees with the breaking ball there. And the Cubs struck first, but you're going to have to do a lot more than put one run across to beat this Dodgers team more often than not. LA with 5 in the 5th, and then they added an insurance run late. So good win to start things off for the Dodgers. After being in Seoul last year, they're in Tokyo this year, and they got a nice win just the same.
Yeah, Miguel Amaya's double early got Dansby Swanson in, like you said, for a 1-0 second inning lead for the Cubs, but they broke loose later. The Dodgers did. Tommy Edman, one of those big money offseason acquisitions or retentions, maybe, for the Dodgers, drove in the game tying run in that 3-run fifth for the Dodgers. Tacked on another one, like you said, in the 9th. Tanner Scott getting the save, another free agent acquisition for the Dodgers. So, they spent money. Michael Conforto 1 for 4 after signing over the offseason. Re-signed Teoscar Hernandez, who I believe had a home run. So, not a home run for Teoscar. He was just 1 for 4 with a run scored and a rib. But Dodgers doing what they do, man. Production all up and down the lineup. No Freddie Freeman in the lineup. We knew Mookie wasn't playing because of that illness that he had. But again, Freeman's out as well. But Shohei goes 2 for 5 at the top with a pair of runs scored. Will Smith with a hit and a rib. It's going to be a long year when you're dealing with those guys, I think. They play the second game, I guess, tomorrow morning as well on this side of the Pacific. So look forward to that. Did you get up, Wade?
Not at all.
Okay. All right.
Well, I barely watch the Astros at 7 o'clock at night, and as much as I'd like to think I would get up and watch this game, it was not in the cards. Tomorrow, with an early start for us, I might be inclined, but I'll be curious too, because last year in the opener, they beat the Padres 5-2. And then the second game was just a slobber knocker. It was 15-11 as the Padres end up winning that game in Seoul. So, maybe the offense shows up a little more tomorrow. Sasaki will go for the Dodgers. Steele will go for the Cubs, but maybe runs will be a little more plentiful in tomorrow's showdown.
Yeah, friend of the show and sports coordinator at the Robertson County Connection, David Wilson, reached out to me yesterday. He's like, are you going to get up and watch the Dodgers and Cubs? I said, not intentionally. But I got up about I actually did get up about 7:45 this morning, and that's early for me actually. But anyway,
catch the tail end, hopefully. Yeah,
Well, that's what I thought.
Catch that insurance run.
Well, I got up and I, got the coffee going, and then I came and I turned the TV on, and maybe that was my mistake. I should have turned the TV on, then got the coffee going. But they were doing post-game handshakes first I saw. So it was done 4-1, but we have standings in Major League Baseball now, and the Dodgers are at the top of the NL West and the Cubs are at the bottom of the NL Central. So obviously the Cubs hoping to turn that around, and that's a division where that doesn't necessarily have to be the case for them. So I'm more intrigued with where the Cubs wind up than I am with where the Dodgers wind up, because I feel like I know where the Dodgers are going to wind up.
Yeah, over the course of 162, right, it feels like, barring just massive injury issues or just something going
which they have had.
Track. Yeah, which they have had. So I mean, it's not nothing is ever a sure thing, but it certainly feels about as close to a sure thing as you get. So they'll play tomorrow, and then LA, that is, and then got a little bit of a downtime until the 27th when they come back home and open it up versus Detroit, and then got your Braves rolling right into town right there at the end of the month. So LA, get stateside. Fun win, it seems like, for the local fans. Ohtani scoring a couple of times. It really kind of what you want. Way less controversy around Ohtani this international trip than we saw this time last year with his legal proceedings. So hopefully, yeah, maybe tomorrow catch a little bit. And I feel like the runs might be a little more plentiful tomorrow as well.
Looking at the pitching box for both these teams, they kind of approach this thing like a spring training game. Yamamoto goes 5, and then the Dodgers go to the bullpen for an inning each out of 4 more guys, including Blake Treinen and, again, Tanner Scott at the back end. The Cubs threw 4 guys. Imanaga got through 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, and then 3 more out of the pen after that. Ryan Brazier finishing it up with a run in his 1 inning of work. So not going too deep with anybody too early. It is still March 18th, whether you're in Tokyo or over here. So you're going to keep an eye on those arms early on.
No doubt. And the Cubs, I gave you guys the Dodgers side of things. The Cubs come back. They also open on the 27th. They're on the road to start the season, though. 4 games at Arizona and then 3 games at the Athletics, wherever that is these days. I forget. But they're on the road for those games. So the Cubs are at home. The Dodgers are at home for their first 7. Cubs are on the road for their first 7. So if you're Cubs, you might as well just keep your bags packed. You're out on the West Coast for a little bit.
But you know what, though? That's one of the more logical things that Major League Baseball has done with their schedule, starting in warm weather sites. Because I used to get kind of bent out of shape with Atlanta starting the year on the road, but it came to light that apparently they had indicated that that was their preference, to be on the road early in the year and come back to Atlanta when school's out, basically. So I'm a little less upset with MLB over their scheduling techniques now with a little extra knowledge. When you know better, you do better. But yeah, the Cubs at Arizona and in Sacramento to open the season, and goodness, that's going to be wild.
ESPN tells us cheapest ticket if you want to possibly fly over real quick and get in there for tomorrow, going to cost you about 1,400 smackers. So save up your bucks if you want to get in for tomorrow morning's game.
And that's just the get in, not the get there, right?
Yeah. You're going to spend triple that just getting over there. But
yeah, you might just want to get up early and check it out on Fox. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. It is Top 5 Tuesday. In our final segment, Wade and I will be giving you our best/most memorable March Madness upsets. But when we come back from the break, we'll be joined by JAMESETTA Cleveland of Sports Mom Youth. So stick around for all of that and more when we come back.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely, and we're pleased to have with us the founder of Sports Mom U, JAMESETTA Cleveland. Always a pleasure to have JAMESETTA on with us. Ms. Cleveland, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you doing?
We're
Good.
doing well.
How you doing?
We're doing great. Hey, before we get into our topics, JAMESETTA, for those who aren't aware, tell folks about Sports Mom U.
Well, Sports Mom University is a boutique athletic consulting firm for sports moms. And what I do is I help sports moms and their families understand who they are and how they prefer to show up in the world so that they can establish an identity outside of sports. And once they know who they are outside of the game, we pivot to help them make the right, I won't say right, but the appropriate athletic, academic, and entrepreneurship decisions. I actually provide sports moms and their families with the tools to help the 17-year-old child that you gave birth to, who's amazingly talented, make the appropriate decision that's going to benefit the 40-year-old that he or she is going to be.
That's awesome. And this was something I love this story, and that's why I ask you to tell it whenever we get you on, because this was something that you kind of happened on while you yourself were going through that experience with your son Ronald.
Yeah, I truly have my consulting firm because of my life. I have 3 children, and all of them had to do something athletic. They didn't necessarily have to be good at it, but they had to do something athletic. And I had some amazingly talented children. And I went through the recruiting process with my oldest daughter, Synovia, for cheerleading and track. And she decided, hey, I don't even want to do sports in college. I just want to do music. And I'm like, okay, you got to live the life, not me. And then I went through the recruiting process the second time with my son for football and basketball. And I noticed immediately that it is a very different process when you're dealing with the revenue generating sports. And I also noticed that very few people really understood that I wasn't raising athletes. I tell my kids all the time, nobody's going to want to know Jesus because of how you jump over a hurdle or how you make a tackle. That's just not how that's going to happen. And that's our most important thing, to make disciples. And so when I came to people and I said, my kids are good at this, but they can stop anytime, very few people understood that mentality. They either wanted me to pay them to do the recruiting process, or they wanted me to pay them to train my children for athletic purposes. And so because I didn't find what I was looking for, the place you go when you realize that you're not raising an athlete, you're raising a whole person who just happens to be really good at their sport, but maybe they don't want to play it professionally, or maybe they do, but nobody retires. Even the oldest professional has to go pro at life. So I built what I actually didn't have. I took a sabbatical. And I had what I call my adventure year, where I said I would not set my alarm clock. I'd only do the things that made me happy. And I did an event called High School Football Mom 101. And people actually bought tickets. And after the event, someone said, this little thing you've been doing, putting moms in the spaces of people who can answer their questions, you should really pray and see if that's what God called you to do. And I have been praying ever since August of 2019, building slowly but surely what I didn't have. And I just told a group of moms last night, if you stick with me, I will teach you how to manage your sons and daughters in a way that honors how God created them to be.
I love the way you put that, JAMESETTA. And from a business standpoint, I love that just because the authenticity behind it, right? I mean, you laid everything out so emotionally and kind of authentically there that it'd be hard not to want to savor up everything that you're saying, because I mean, you've been through the trials of all that.
I actually like we're going to talk about the rules, and that's the one thing that no one tells you. We often, as parents, start the recruiting process. We don't even know that we've actually started it, but we're in it and we're woefully ignorant about the process that we're in. And there isn't a real place where people will sit you down and say, well, this is what it means to be a red shirt. This is what it means to be a qualifier. This is when you're not qualified. This is what the NCAA eligibility center is. This is, this is what it means to actually be eligible. And hey, by the way, that doesn't mean that your child can graduate. And it even doesn't mean that they can get into college either. So you have to weigh out, okay, what does my state say that I need to graduate? What does the NCAA say I need to be eligible? And what does the college say that I need to do to be admitted? And so there wasn't a place. And then there wasn't a place that really just says, kid, you're really good at this sport, but you can stop it if you want. You can do something different if you like. So it's been interesting just to see that was my biggest gripe. Who teaches me? And when I look in the space, very few, they're not teaching us. There's just not the place. And so again, I keep giving classes because we need someone to tell us, because what we don't know in the recruiting process can actually damage our child's opportunities for the future.
And what's crazy about that, JAMESETTA, is the people who have that knowledge, it's not necessarily advantageous to them to share it. So there's that portion of it as well. But it's an interesting time for someone like you to come onto the sports landscape, just because there is so much going on collegiately. I mean, I reached out to you yesterday about this visit, and this morning an article comes across the Associated Press headline: NCAA agrees to lift name, image, and likeness recruiting ban. Supposedly it was illegal for prospective athletes to enter into an NIL deal before enrolling at a specific college. And that's going to come as a shock to a number of college athletics fans that it doesn't work that way, or wasn't supposed to work that way. Well, now it doesn't work that way because the NCAA has gotten rid of that rule that nobody was following anyway.
And you can thank the University of Tennessee. They are the direct reason that is happening, because they did not. I cannot pronounce his last name properly, but their quarterback, Nico.
Join the club.
Who you mean?
They were UT's coming off the sanctions and the money they had to pay for Jeremy Pruitt. And in the sports world, especially if there's a lot of money involved, if you do things that are not above board, people always turn you in. And so this young man is rumored to have, I've not seen it, he's rumored to have an amazing amount of money that has been given to him by the collective that supports UT Spire. And UT was just getting an investigation because as he was traveling to the University of Tennessee for his visits, he was actually on a plane owned by a booster. And I mean, it's really great. That is really how you wine and dine. You put him on a private jet, and there's no better feeling, right? However, money from boosters, and it a lot of places, collectives are considered boosters. So, that is really what people use to actually get recruits to sign. You want to be wine and dine. You want to be made to feel special. And so rather than pay additional dollars and perhaps lose bowl eligibility, our state attorney general sued. And here we are.
I'm not sure how I feel about it, because I feel like NIL, the objective of it was you get on campus, you demonstrate your worth, and you get paid from there. But it wasn't really working out that way. And so this is more in line with the reality of the situation, I guess. Is that fair to say?
So in my world, I always differentiate. There is a difference between NIL, true NIL. And it's
Mhm.
really cool because the lawyers are picking up my term. I've been using true NIL for 4 years now, and here they are. So there is a distinct difference between true NIL and what collectives do. And I might be making someone feel bad. And frankly, I don't really care, but it's really legalized pay for play and
Mhm.
inducements. And so the system was not, in theory, when you listen to Judge Claudia talk about what she perceives and what she understands and what we are supposed to be doing with name, image, and likeness, and how the universities and colleges that are member schools of the NCAA, and also how the NCAA itself, how they have designed a system that doesn't honor it. We really don't, we really don't see at the collegiate level, especially in football and basketball, we really don't see true NIL. We see collectives that are giving a lot of money to young men and young women. And so for me, the missing piece isn't even proving your worth the way you play on the field, because just yesterday, a manager, I want to say is at McNeese, became the first manager to actually get an NIL deal. What people need to understand is true NIL is business based. And since people like to talk about deals, the best model that I could say is the influencer model. You build a community, you build a following, people are interested in you. And because of that, businesses like to sell things. So they'll find a popular person. We have yet to truly implement that, the true model of NIL, where it's business. It's either a business that you partner with, a business that you start, or a business that says, hey, I want to base my business concept and idea off of you. So let's enter into a business relationship. That is true NIL. What we have is distinctly different. It's unfortunate. That is what most people see, but it is very distinctly different.
That said, JAMESETTA, what does this ruling change, or this, as they're referring to it, abandoning this rule?
So really what they're saying is that the NCAA can't enforce its bylaws. And we really knew that it couldn't enforce its bylaws before, because different states will pass laws, and in history, state laws have never superseded NCAA bylaws. I mean, the NCAA bylaws have, I said that backwards. NCAA bylaws have never superseded state laws.
Mhm.
What really we need to do, and people are not very keen on this, is it's time to reimagine what college athletics is supposed to be. And I don't mean like what we're seeing where certain Power Five conferences are flirting with private equity. That's not what I mean. It is okay for adults to admit the business model that we created however many decades ago, it fundamentally doesn't fit our current capitalist culture. And let's get together and let's make something new. Y'all are like, they're all bright. They are bright, but they are not using that brightness to really, truly reimagine what the collegiate world should look like. And because they aren't, we continue to have people taking pot shots at the NCAA. And that's unfortunate, but we're going to see more pot shots. We'll see a lot more.
James, I've kind of asked you this before, and I feel like I've asked it at least. When does the roller coaster kind of stop? Is there an inevitable point at which things kind of reach a little bit of a homeostasis? Because this has still kind of been such a wild phenomenon in the last 5 or 6 years. Is there at least a soft landing coming up soon, or are things just going to continue to evolve, and that's just kind of where it's going to be for the next decade plus in your mind?
I'm going to say that nothing that we're experiencing has to be this way, because influencer marketing currently takes place in all 50 states with no problem. People do it all the time. The building of businesses, starting businesses, investing in businesses, even people partnering and saying, hey, I want to model something off you. It happens in all 50 states all the time without a lot of chaos. The problem in the collegiate model is that people genuinely don't want to let go. They don't want to really share resources. They could do something really simple, like say, if you're a student athlete, your minor must be entrepreneurship or business. And as a part of that minor, we're going to talk about taxes. We're going to talk about digital marketing and digital strategy. We're going to talk about storytelling. We're going to talk about how you set up your budget. Like, these are classes that are already taught at universities. You don't need anything new. You just need to align a major and say, this is something that you're going to need to do if you're a student athlete. I've heard too many people say, well, schools can't require certain classes. Well, you can. You do it all the time. You do it all the time. But we can't do that. But you could. You just simply don't desire to do so. And you don't desire to let go of the bulk of the revenue that goes to colleges, universities, and the NCAA. And you haven't figured out how to fund Olympic sports differently than they're funded today. So we're going to keep having, my grandma used to say, some people have to lose it all and hit rock bottom. The NCAA and its member schools have not hit rock bottom yet.
JAMESETTA Cleveland of Sports Mom U joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. JAMESETTA, another clarification point of guidance maybe that the NCAA issued, I guess here in the last week or so, regarding transfers of student athletes from non-NCAA institutions, be it NAIA or junior college, who would have finished their eligibility during this current academic year. They've been apparently approved for one more year of eligibility, with some exceptions. It's a little convoluted, but if you were at a junior college or in an NAIA program during the COVID year of 2021, no, I'm reading that wrong. See, players whose only season of non-NCAA competition was the COVID year cannot play in the 2025-26 season. So anybody else whose final year of eligibility would have been this year will get one more year, apparently. Is that, how do you understand that?
So I would tell everybody, the Q&A for this discussion is out there. It is really in your best interest to read the Q&A. In a nutshell, the way that I understand this is, it is not what everyone thinks. It's not all junior college. It's not all NAIA. And it's one of the things people are leaving out. International students are included in this. So it's not even all international students. You have to first ask yourself, am I a student who, one, is at the end of my eligibility? This year would be the last season that I'm able to play at a Division I institution. And if it is, did I at any point in time, did I attend a non-NCAA institution for at least one season? That could be a junior college, that could be an NAIA school, it could be their plethora of other leagues. It could also be an international institution. But not just did I attend those places, have I met the requirements for progress towards degree, and am I otherwise academically eligible, and do I meet all the other bylaw eligibility requirements? And if I do, and this was the last season that I'm going to get, then I get one more year. If you are, let's just say you are a kid who went from a DT school, a D3 or D2 school to a Division I school, you don't get an extra year. Or let's just say you're currently at a Division II or Division III school. They also have the option. So let's just say you went from junior college or an international institution or an NAIA school to a D2 school or D3 school. You're at the end of your eligibility, but you have developed beautifully and somebody at the Division I level wants you. those kids also get an extra year of eligibility as well, provided there is a Division I school that says, hey, we have a spot for you over here, and you're definitely going to play. But you still have to meet some requirements. Progress towards degree is, unfortunately, because we have so many kids transferring multiple times, progress towards degree is one of the things that is hitting up a lot of kids right now. In my world, it's progress towards degree, because that you have to get if you don't meet that, then that's a whole separate waiver process.
Interesting. As always, when we get JAMESETTA Cleveland on with us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. JAMESETTA is the founder of Sports Mom U, but she wears many hats, and a lot of those probably come as a result of Sports Mom U. One of those is her work with the Tennessee Minority Coaches Association, and that organization has a coaching clinic coming up Saturday on the Vanderbilt campus. JAMESETTA, tell folks more.
Yes, so our founders, Dwight Hunley Jr. and Rodney Salisbury, had an idea of having coaching clinics. And because we're such a spread out state, we wanted to do it central so that all the coaches could attend. So we did our first one in February at the University of Chattanooga. But this Saturday, March the 22nd, from 9 to 4, maybe 4:30, we will be having our Minority Coaches Association of Tennessee Coaching Academy in partnership with Clark Lee and Vanderbilt University Football. Tickets are still available. You can find them on my social media and also on Eventbrite. So really excited about the lineup that we have. And it's an opportunity it's open to coaches at all levels, whether you're a rec league coach or a high school coach or a college coach. We all have to get better. Whether you're a coach of a flag football team, we want to grow the game. Whether you're the coach of a flag football team or a tackle football team, we want you there. For ladies that are listening, because in Tennessee and other places, we have women's tackle football at the professional level, those coaches are welcome as well. We're going to, of course, talk some X's and O's, but the thing I'm most proud of is that we're going to talk more than X's and O's as well.
Awesome. JAMESETTA, always in the middle of some good stuff. And her work with Sports Mom U is admirable, and I love where it comes from. So always happy to have you on with us and keeping an eye on you. We appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon and look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. When we continue here on the Top 5 Tuesday edition of Main Street Sports Today, going to take a look at some local stuff going on right now in at least one case, and later this evening in another. So stick around when we continue Top 5 Tuesday. Again, in the final segment, Wade and I will give you our top 5 best/most memorable March Madness updates. Be sure and stick around for that as well, but we will see you after the break.
Only in Smashville are opponents welcomed with some good old-fashioned Southern hospitality. We'll give you a hand, cheer you on. Hey, we'll even leave a light on.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. Again, in our final segment, we'll give you our top 5 best or most memorable March Madness upsets. And I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a local flavor involved in that segment. So stick around for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Right now, we have the 7th Mid-State Classic going on out at Ridley Park. It is a event put on by the City of Columbia's Parks and Rec Department, and it has always involved the UT Lady Vols softball program from its inception in 2024 up to now. Every one of those events UT has played in, and every one of those events UT has won. The event has had some scheduling quirks. Again, this is the 7th year and it started in 2014, so it's not been continuous, but they are set tonight at 5:30 to take on Eastern Kentucky. Now, the Lady Vols are ranked 7th in the country. They're coming in at 25-4 after sweeping UConn over the past weekend, and that was a series that was necessitated by the fact that the SEC has an odd number of softball teams. Looking at y'all, Vanderbilt. Eastern Kentucky, meanwhile, comes in at 19-6, so should be an interesting game. Again, Tennessee has never lost in Muletown, and I'm sure Karen Weekly is, 1, well aware of that, and 2, doesn't intend for it to happen tonight either. Homecoming for some folks, though. Laura Mealer, former MTSU standout who transferred up there prior to last season and is from Chapel Hill. Ryan Brown, who played her high school ball at Independence, transferred in from Texas over this past offseason, and freshman Savia Morgan out of Columbia Central. And I'm sure that her family was responsible for a lot of tickets being sold for this event today.
Yeah, that's the cool part of it, right, is the local flavor that is kind of spruced in. Yes, you get to showcase some of your upper echelon teams, obviously in Tennessee, which is going to sell a lot of tickets. But then also, of course, you get to feature your hometown squads, Columbia Central, Columbia State. I mean, this is a fun event. This is an event that kind of has drawn buzz from its inception. And it's always because you get a little star power, but you also kind of stay close to your local roots as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an opportunity, like you said, for some of these local teams to kind of share a little bit of the spotlight with a national powerhouse like the University of Tennessee, a regular in the College World Series out in Oklahoma City, that kind of thing. So, yeah, this is a big deal. It got started early today, a 10 o'clock matchup between, as you said, Columbia Central and Spring Hill. Things did not go Spring Hill's way. Columbia Central scored 9 runs in the first inning, 8 runs in the second inning, and won 17-0 in 2.5 innings. Now, Columbia Central's been on a roll. I believe they're undefeated to this point. The second game was a 1:30 start between Columbia State and Calhoun Community College out of Alabama. I'm told that in the bottom of the 4th, Calhoun was up 2-0. That's the last update I've got on that one. But again, Tennessee and Eastern Kentucky out at Ridley Park in Columbia. That is a 5:30 start. And let me stop you if you are like, run into the car to head this way. If you don't have a ticket, sold out. So sad but true. But I think I think that the folks that do have tickets are going to enjoy this evening. Again, getting a chance to see the Lady Vols right here in their backyard, and it's always been a great draw and a great event when it has come off. So
great draw, great event, and obviously for Tennessee, it never hurts to tap into some fertile recruiting grounds. You get a chance to kind of further spread your name out there. Just in case you were thinking about going to Auburn or thinking about going somewhere else. Why not stay close to home where your folks can see you a little more often?
At least once, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah. Wade, NAIA hoops update.
Yeah, got some good ones, Mo, man. Three separate teams had big weekends. We talked a lot about last year's NAIA national champion Freed Hardeman men's basketball team. They continue to roll after winning the Mid-South Conference Championship. They picked up 2 wins in the opening round, hosting that over there at the Brewer Sports Center in West Tennessee. Knocking off Spring Arbor, the number 9 seed, Spring Arbor out of Michigan, gave them a pretty good shot, gave them a pretty good game. But Freed Hardeman survives. They won that one 71-69. So Freed is back in Kansas City. They'll be at Municipal Friday at 1 p.m. versus Life University out of the Southern States Athletic Conference. That was one team on Freed's campus. On the other side, on the ladies' side, they also hosted their region or the opening round of the tournament, if you will. A little drama there. They cruised to a big win versus Johnson over in East Tennessee, 79-43, and then picked up a 68-47 win versus Florida Memorial. They're in action also Friday, but their tournament is up in Sioux City, Iowa. They won't be the only team, though, Mo, that's out in Sioux City because the Bethel University Lady Wildcats, got to give some props to my boy, Coach Chris Nelson, give him a little love. They have been on, a little bit of a run after going through that meat grinder of the Mid-South. They not only come out unscathed, but they took care of business, winning both of their games. They defeated Sterling last Friday and then followed up with a win versus Benedictine, Kansas, 67-52 on Saturday. They will be in action in Sioux City on Thursday at 1 p.m. So a lot of local teams still battling. There were a few other squads that have been plucked off by the time, we get down to the final 16 here. But 3 of the local squads have punched their tickets to the Sweet 16, as it were, in the NAI form.
That's awesome. Now, you said Bethel and Freed Hardeman's women are both in Sioux City?
Yep.
Now, are they in the same conference?
Both in the Mid-South, yep.
So there are at-larges then, I guess, that qualify?
Yep. NAI, especially 2 or 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I guess, opened this thing up to 64. And good news, bad news. They open it up to 64, so a lot of teams get in, but the bad news, only the Sweet 16 get to go to either Sioux City for the ladies or Kansas City for the men. And that's kind of the real fun. That's kind of the real draw. But everybody has a much better shot to get in. So it'll be worth watching. As our kind of quote-unquote area squads. We kept tabs on Freed's men last year. It'd be cool to see them maybe go back-to-back. Such a hard tournament to win once, let alone twice. Be worth keeping tabs on as they get rolling out in KC.
Absolutely. I hope the NAIA women don't get too upset because it feels like to me there's a little bit of a difference between Sioux City, Iowa, and Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas, wherever the auditorium is. They might pull an uprising kind of like the D1 women did a couple of years ago, and NAIA should probably beware.
Yeah, they moved that thing around, right? For many years, it was over there in West Tennessee in Jackson, but the women's tournament does not have that long storied history of an iconic venue like Municipal Auditorium, which pound for pound is still the best basketball experience in my mind, in the old format at least. 16 is still fun, but when you got 32 all there, it makes it really fun. But yeah, they've kind of bounced around and they seemingly have settled on Sioux City. You're right, not quite as sexy of a draw in terms of location, right?
I've heard that 32 team national tournament really romanticized because they started first thing in the morning and they just rolled. You'd be in there 11 or 12 o'clock at night watching some pretty high level basketball, sounds like.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I've been there and broadcast some of those 9 a.m. games. I've been there and I broadcast some of those games that were supposed to start at 10 and didn't tip off until about 11:30. One year we had one of those and then had the women playing in close by in Independence, Missouri the next morning. So, I mean, it goes back and forth. And, yeah, I don't know. It would be cool, though, Mo. I got to look at the bracket to see if it's possible. But it could be potentially, Freed, Ardeman, and
Could
Bethel.
you get-
Kind of shades of that 2007 Union versus Lambeth game back that they played for the national championship. Would be kind of wild if those two teams could meet up with high stakes on the line.
No doubt. The TSSAA's Mr. and Miss Basketball Awards will be presented this afternoon, 5:30 p.m. specifically at the Tucker Theater on the MTSU campus. We've got some local kids that are among the finalists for those in Division 2A. Dasha Baruch of the Webb School, an Ohio State signee, is a finalist. In Class 1A on the Miss Basketball side, it's a mid-state sweep. Somebody from Middle Tennessee is going to win this thing. Either Blair Bogus from Wayne County, who is an MTSU signee, Layla Downs-Darden from McEwen, or Ellie Graham from Moore County, who we saw at the state tournament last week. In Class 2A, Allie Weathers from Loretto is up for the Miss Basketball Award. In Class 4A, Brentwood's Ella Ryan is one of the finalists. On the boys' side for Mr. Basketball, we've got Jaden Jones from Good Pasture, Preston Wade from Providence Christian over in Murfreesboro are two of the three finalists in Division 2AA. Lipscomb's Cameron Blivens and Ensworth Jr. Jonathan Sanderson are among your finalists. In Class 1A, you've got Pickett County's Jacob Aminette and Santa Fe's Alden Slaughter, who is the number 3 all-time scorer in Tennessee boys basketball history. 3566 is the number there. In Class 2A, Loretta's Grayson Burleson, formerly of Summertown, who went over the 2,500-point mark earlier this year. And in Class 4A, two of your finalists are Franklin's Christian Brown and Hillsboro's Cortez Graham Howard. Now, the other finalist there is Taquez Butler from Whitehaven, and Hillsboro with a win at the state tournament, Whitehaven with a win at the state tournament. Mr. Butler and Mr. Graham Howard would face off in Friday's semifinals there. Just kind of keep that in mind. So Independence hoping to have something to say about Whitehaven's advancement, though. They will play in the late game on Thursday night. We'll talk more about that state tournament and those matchups tomorrow as well, but they get going tomorrow over at the Glass House. So
yeah, action cranking up real quick. I do want to give a shout out. Our boy Scott Combs wanted to say best of luck to James Madison commit and signee Mr. Christian Brown down there.
There we go.
He wanted me to pass that on, a little free plug for our boy there.
I bet he did want us to pass that on. Yeah, Coach Combs always be recruiting, right? So yeah, Good for them. That's going to wrap it up for hour number 1 here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Again, it is Top 5 Tuesday. In our final segment, Wade and I will give you our top 5 best/most memorable March Madness upsets. When we come back, we will be joined by the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters. So stick around for all of that and more in the second hour of Main Street Sports Today.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilay Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome to the second hour of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We are anxiously awaiting the arrival of the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, who warned us that he might be a little behind in getting in, but he will be getting in. So not going to panic too much at this point over Chip's delayed arrival here, but we are going to talk a little Middle Tennessee State, as again both the men and women came up a little short down in Huntsville over this past weekend. The men falling in the semifinals to Jacksonville State, the women falling in the championship to Liberty 53-48 on Saturday. The Lady Raiders went down, but both continue to play. The women are playing in the WBIT. On Thursday, they are at Belmont, and as we mentioned, the men are at home tonight in the NIT against Chattanooga. Should be an interesting matchup there. Chattanooga out of the Southern Conference, and those two have played off and on during the regular season. Don't believe they played this year, though. So when you've got somebody from that close by, it's always fun, especially high stakes like the postseason.
High stakes game tonight. Be fun to see MTSU pick up the win. Vegas has them as a small favorite, about 2.5 points. Chattanooga, a pretty good team. This kind of almost feels like any of these non-NCAA tournaments always feel like this. Which team kind of, it wants to be there. If a team wants to be there, kind of like the bowls in college football. If a team wants to be there, they got an inherent advantage, it seems like, versus another squad, no matter the talent. Kind of feel like the talent edge would lie with MTSU. But the question, if the Blue Raiders will come out, be motivated, be hungry after falling up short. Man, it was a great run to knock off La Tech in that crazy double overtime game, and just kind of felt just seemingly out of gas. I don't know how you couldn't be out of gas after that as we closed on Friday. It wasn't meant to be for Jack State either, as we saw Liberty take care of business. I mean, it's kind of fascinating how it all played out. And then, they kind of like to keep things a little close to home for that first round. So MTSU can enjoy that at the Glass House tonight.
They are going to enjoy that at the Glass House, already at the Glass House in his broadcast spot, looks like. The voice of the Blue Raiders, the pride of the Dimple, TSSAA 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, Chip Walters, joining us. Mr. Walters, good afternoon.
How are you guys?
What's up, Chip?
Well, how are you? Is that a new pullover?
No, I've had this one. This was new this year, but it is. This was part of our radio crew gear, and we've got the TSSAA officials meeting going on behind us. Gino Manise is back there conducting that, along with those who will be adjudicating the boys state tournament. But Middle just got through, and you can see here what's
Look at
left
you.
of the shoot around.
Somebody getting some shots up, huh?
Yeah. Well, those are managers.
Oh,
Over here, we got actual players who are getting some shots up. But they're on their way to pregame meal. But Middle's going to have to bring is going to have to play well tonight against Chattanooga. This is a Chattanooga team that, and I hate to use the phrase bid stealers because I think they're bid earners from a guy who's a mid-major guy.
There we go. I like that.
I think they're bid earners. The Power Fives love to call them bid stealers, but Wofford is one of those teams who earned a bid and took one away from one of the Power Fives. Chattanooga won the regular season, and they were the chalk in the Southern Conference, and it was a pretty big upset that they were knocked out of the Southern Conference tournament, and so they are a really, really good offensive team under Coach Dan Earls, who came to Chattanooga from VMI and brought in a motion offense and one with a lot of Princeton principles to it. Not too far away from being like Liberty or Belmont, like that. But Middle has to bring some offense here tonight. You can't expect this one to be played in the 50s or 60s.
It seems, though, that Middle has over the last little bit been a little more offensive minded with Mustafa in the middle and gotten some good things done.
And I think you can kind of point to Kamari Lands getting back, and after his injury, he was out for 12 games, and I'm looking here at his last two. Kamari scored 11 in the loss to Jack State. He only scored 3 against Louisiana Tech, but he, his presence and ability to shoot the ball and have some physical presence to him allows Middle to be better offensively. Now, the other thing that's going to be a really interesting matchup tonight, one big question mark will be about Frank Champion of Chattanooga. He is their 6'7" post player. And he has not played in the last two. He got injured in the final game of the regular season, didn't play in either game in the SoCon tournament, but he was a second teamer and newcomer of the year, kind of remindful of our own newcomer of the year in Conference USA in Isam Mustafa. But those two are guys. Isam is at 6'9", Champion at 6'7". If they both play, they play a similar style. They both go and rebound the ball. They both have good movement around the basket. So it's going to be an interesting matchup, no matter how it goes. But the other thing that you've got to do, you have to guard the three against Chattanooga. Honor Huff, who is their best player and a first-team All-SoCon guy, he's made 112 threes this year. And they, as a team, shoot the basketball at 48% from the field for the year. So they're a really, really good offensive team, and you can't expect to not play not play good offense and get a win.
Chip, after a disappointing, obviously frustrating, I guess, disappointing or frustrating, however you want to look at it, defeat in CUSA, how quickly has the team, in your mind, kind of tried to rally as we get ready for a brand new postseason format here for the team playing at home tonight?
Well, they lost on Friday afternoon and went back to the hotel. Their expectation was to stay in Huntsville till Saturday morning, but due to the impending weather over the weekend, they went ahead and they actually left about midnight on Friday night. The bus driver said, "Hey, the bus company says I don't need to be on the road on Saturday," so they packed up, came home. They did have a practice Sunday afternoon at about 2:00 before they knew who they were going to be playing. They knew that they were in, and they knew they were going to host. Once Liberty won and Jack State lost, they knew they were in and were going to host. Had Jack State won that game, Liberty would have been in the NIT and Middle would have been out. So it fell right for Middle right there. But they had a practice Sunday afternoon about 2 where they just kind of ran their own stuff, ran their own sets, just making sure they had all of that buttoned up as well as they could, inbound plays, things like that. Didn't even talk about who they were going to be playing, and then kind of made that for about an hour, made it competitive, and the guys, I came over here just to. I wanted to see what the body language looked like and what the faces looked like. There were smiles. They were bouncing around. They were getting up and down the floor pretty good. So I left here Sunday feeling pretty good about it. And same here. They were locked in during pregame and during the game day practice. They're headed off to pregame meal right now, and we'll be ready to play at 7:00. So, it'll be it's going to be a good contest tonight, and hope folks can will make the choice to grab a ticket. You can do that at goblueraiders.com/tickets, and every seat $25, and it's first come first serve when you get here. And over the past few years, we've had some NIT home games. We had the last one was Vermont. And had about 5,000 that night. Really good atmosphere because everybody, since there's no reserved seats, they all packed down close to the floor, which is great. Couple of years before that, we had Minnesota in here along with Marshall, and those were really good atmospheres. And so we've had and Mo, you can remember this in particular, and so can Wade, that. Boy, the NIT has been good to Middle over the years as far as putting together some great runs and fun memories. Going back to 1988 when you had Tennessee, Georgia, and Boston College in here back to back to back, and Middle winning 2 of those and losing a close game against Boston College, and probably would have won that if Chris Rainey had been healthy. Then and then again you have the Marshall and Minnesota. You have you had the Vermont situation, and so it's it's been good to Middle, and hopefully this is the start of something pretty good as well. This is going to be a tough opener. I'll just say that, and the way the bracket falls, if Middle wins and Dayton beats FAU, then Middle would go to Dayton probably on Saturday. If Middle wins and FAU beats Dayton, then FAU would come here probably on Sunday due to TSSAA. Now, interestingly, Dayton is the higher seed and would have hosted FAU, but they've got the first 4 in their building tonight and tomorrow night. So very similar to us that they're having to work around scheduling in their own building to be able to play. So that's kind of where we are, and getting ready for tonight, 7:00.
Chip, real quick, you talked about the players and saw some smiles. Seemingly they feel pretty good coming into this. Coaching staff, how much does the coaching staff really – do they feel any extra pressure, I guess, for lack of a better term, and maybe wanted to show a good effort here to close the season in your mind?
I think they I don't think that it's any different. I can't imagine feeling any more, whether it's butterflies or game day jitters than you would in the conference semifinals last Friday. I think this is, to me, I think there's more of a feeling of, okay, here's new life. We get to continue to play, and it's not a. I don't feel fear. I think there's an excitement about them on having another game day. Isam Mustafa, if you could go back and find, he put up a post on social media talking about, his heart would be broken if he didn't get to play any more games with this team, because it's in his 5 years of college basketball now. He goes, there's not been one day where they did not, where he did not get excited about coming to practice. So this team likes to be, they like being around each other, and they like each other having success. So that's, they're not ready to be done, but they've got work to do tonight, and it's not roll the balls out by any stretch of the imagination. This Chattanooga team is very, very good. They were the chalk favorite to be in the NCAA tournament from the Southern Conference. So you're facing a team that won its own conference, and they've won 24 games. They just didn't win their tournament.
Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chip, you talked about that bad weather south and, across Middle Tennessee and south of here on Saturday. Somebody tried to get to Huntsville on Saturday, and then around Lewisburg got smart and turned around and came home and felt really bad about missing, but
well, we did have a rain delay for the men's championship game, and when's the last time that happened in a basketball game?
That's not supposed to happen. But I saw him trying to get a tarp in place to keep the water off the floor or something like that. But yeah, tough day Saturday, tough day for the Lady Raiders as well.
Yeah, and this middle women's team, they have had a great year. But, there have been nights when they have not been as good offensively as I think they and Coach Insel would like. And I think now they have, I don't think they felt like they were treated as fairly as they would have liked by the WBIT when it comes to seeding. They were not a seeded team going into this game with Belmont on Thursday night. So there will be a little, they may have poked the bear a little bit by doing that. And of course, Middle has a little bit of, motivation, and that they certainly want to play better against Belmont than they did back in December.
A poked bear, especially a poked 5'8", 5'6" bear, it may not necessarily be the best thing for Belmont as MTSU rolls into the Curb Center on Thursday night.
Yeah, and Belmont is one of those who's kind of emotionally right where Middle is, because they were upset in their conference finals. Belmont has had a great 10-year run, and they got knocked out of their conference championship by Murray State in the Missouri Valley, and Middle, losing to Liberty. You got two teams who want to get a good taste back in their mouth after a conference run, because and you guys probably saw it, the Middle Western game last Friday in the semifinals. I mean, it was a slobber knocker.
It was an absolute slobber knocker. I didn't get to see it, unfortunately, but I was trying to keep up with it, and they fought uphill all night long.
And you kind of wonder, how much did that take out of them going into the championship game? Well, now you've got a refreshed Middle team with a chip on its shoulder heading to Nashville on Thursday. So we'll see, and I think they'll go up there and play well.
This is interesting. I have pulled up the WBIT bracket, and with a certain team on the other side, you could get the Courtney Blakely special on Sunday, as MTSU and Arizona would face off in the second round.
Yeah, the Courtney Blakely Bowl. I saw that. It's Arizona, I think, plays Northern Arizona.
Correct.
The alma mater of Derek Mason. The Lumberjacks. They're in Flagstaff. But so yeah, I mean, there is that. But I think right now they want, everything is focused on what's going to happen on right off Wedgwood Avenue on Thursday night.
Absolutely. Chip, before we let you go, baseball and softball continuing to get some good performances, some award-winning performances. As a matter of fact, freshman pitcher Layla Ammon is your co-conference USA pitcher of the week. And continuing on the mound, Chandler Alderman gets the pitcher of the week award on the baseball side, the third different MTSU pitcher to be so honored already this season.
All three weekend starters have won pitcher of the week at some point already this season, and the conference race hasn't started yet. So, I think the optimism level is really high with the baseball team, but the prize for coming, they're playing this afternoon. Matter of fact, they start in about 45 minutes or 40 minutes against SEMO over at Reese Smith Field, and it's going to be a beautiful afternoon over there. That the prize for getting off to a good start in the non-conference races. Oh, by the way, you have to go to Dallas Baptist, and I guess if you want to be the optimist about that, get that weekend over with, and then because here they are, a top 5, top 10, and I know this, they went and run ruled Oklahoma State on the road last week. So Dallas Baptist has been the class of the league so far, but Conference USA across the board is a top 5 or 6 league year in, year out, whether it was when Southern Miss was in the league and ranked in the top 10, or now that Dallas Baptist has kind of replaced them in that situation. And I think Middle's got a much improved team overall, both offensively and in particular on the mound. With those weekend starters, I think that's going to give them a chance each and every weekend as they go into conference play. And like you mentioned, softball, they won their series this past weekend against Sam Houston, so they're basically 1-1 as far as series are concerned, losing 2 out of 3 last weekend at FIU, but they're off and rolling now and into conference play.
I'm intrigued by this softball situation in particular because there have been 6 Freshman of the Week awards presented by Conference USA, and Middle has claimed 4 of those, 2 each by Layla Ammon and by Jana Want. So they are getting it done early on.
They are, and another one, Ansley Blevins, the Blue Raider catcher, and daughter of former Lady Raider volleyballer Angie Raffo Blevins. She has had 4 multi-home run games already this year. So you got a catcher who can go yard, and Ansley Blevins, and she's fun to watch.
That's awesome. Chip, are you doing anything with Mr. and Miss Basketball tonight, or are you strictly hoops?
I was supposed to.
Oh, okay.
And scheduling, the way if this game had been an 8 o'clock tip for some reason, I would have been over there. But because I was scheduled to be there, I had the script. I know who the winners are, but I'm not telling anybody anything.
See how you are.
My first call when I got the when we found out what the schedule was going to be, I had already prepared Matthew Gillespie at TSSAA, said, "Hey, here's a possibility." And so he had I'm not sure what the plan is, but there is a plan B, and they will get it taken care of, and then get the boys tournament tipped off in the morning.
There we go. Are you going to be around tomorrow? You've got your show tomorrow, right?
I do. I have it in the morning. Yes, I've got an all-star crew on in the morning. We have a bracket breakdown show tomorrow morning. I've got the inventor of the alley-oop, Monty Tao. I have Steve Lehman from News Channel 5, who really knows his college hoops, and also Tim Scarborough. Scar's a TV analyst. He did. He worked with Charlie Neal a lot this year. Used to be part of our Sunbelt TV crew, and he has been kind enough to come on a couple of times to help doing a bracket breakdown show for me, and we're going to do that in the morning. So I got to get my bracket filled out. So there's that.
Have fun with that. Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chip, as always, we appreciate it, and look forward to running across you this week. Hey, come see us, man. We'll be up in Section A, right under the scoreboard
Good
for
deal.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So yeah.
All right.
Pull up.
See you, man.
Pull up. We'll see you.
See you, Chip.
Bye.
When we continue the Top 5 Tuesday edition of Main Street Sports today, we'll talk a little more hoops because why not? Stick around after this.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
The journey begins with happy feet.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. And we've got NCAA tournament basketball tonight. Well, this evening, 5:40. And again, better figure out where True TV is on your provider, because the number 16 matchup between St. Francis and Alabama State tips off at 5:40 Nashville time on True TV. That'll be followed at around 8:10 Central by San Diego State and North Carolina in the 11 matchup out of Dayton. That might break records for most watched first four game, Wade.
Think so?
And I just feel like there's so much fascination with UNC one way or the other. Either Tar Heel fans that are miffed that everybody else is miffed, or folks that are miffed that Carolina got in.
I'm with you. I think, just name recognition alone, it is kind of jarring to see the Tar Heels in the situation that they're in, but they are in, and they are in the first four. And with all due respect to St. Francis and Alabama State, this will be the one that everybody's kind of primed up and ready to go. Joe, we'll rely on Joe for updates on St. Francis and Alabama State. How about that? And we'll make our own assumptions about UNC and San Diego. And this will be a fun game. Vegas says UNC's favored by 4.5. San Diego State, though, got some nice injury news. Their big man, Magoon Guath, has been kind of out really for the last month or so with a knee injury. Coach Dutcher said he's back. Could give San Diego a little shot of life tonight. I think this will be a fun game. Great way to kind of start the week of the madness here.
Yeah, I think it really gets the juices flowing in a way that not many matchups necessarily would. Alabama State going into that game 19-15. St. Francis, one of the few teams coming in with a losing record. They are 16-17 coming into this first 4 matchups. So, hopefully the Hornets can take care of business there and, get that cross-state matchup with Auburn in the opening round, I guess.
Yeah, and Alabama State, they came in, they're in some regards playing with house money because they rallied, crazy comeback to knock off, I think, who a lot of folks thought was going to win the whole thing in Jackson State. So they kind of turned the tables. What a run they went on, too. They barely got by Grambling in their semifinal game, but then right when it looked like Jackson State, who had already pretty much had their name engraved on the trophy, they made a miraculous comeback on Saturday night to win that one, and that is a big, big result. Yeah, why not keep the good vibes rolling down there, right?
Absolutely. So, again, you've got Alabama State and St. Francis, and then you've got North Carolina and San Diego State. Again, 5:40 and 8:10 local time on True TV. I have no idea where True TV is on my TV, but I won't be home anyway, so we'll figure it out. What were your thoughts, Wade, about Memphis going out west and getting thumped by 10 by the Kings last night?
Well, we've kind of talked about the struggles that the Grizz have had coming out of the All-Star break, and especially without Jaren. Their team has totally had to shift their identity now. I mean, the other night against the Cavs, Ja goes for nearly 50 points, but that sounds cool and that sounds impressive, but that's not really who this team – the real MVP of the team is the one that's on the sidelines right now, and Jaren Jackson Jr. So if he's not in, their whole chemistry and their whole calculus kind of changes. They're not really kind of among the teams maybe vying for that 2 through 4 realm as currently constructed. And so kind of not necessarily shocked. Obviously, certainly – don't really want to be giving up a game like that on the road. You don't want to get the beam lit on you out there, but at the same time, they're just trying to hopefully ease. They're trying to improve their position as much as they can coming down the stretch. Jackson did get back in and kind of did a little something, but he's obviously still kind of just easing back into things at the moment.
Desmond Bain with a game-high 44 points for the Grizzlies in that loss. Sacramento gets, 12 points out of former Grizzly Jake LaRavia. I don't know exactly how significant that is, but I would think he had a little bit of motivation going up against a team that he used to suit up for.
Yeah, a little tiny revenge for the former Demon Deacon there, and he probably was enjoying it. Sabonis, that's the real issue there. Sabonis was limited mightily in that game. And so without him, that makes it even more egregious in a sense for a loss. The fact that he departed so early in that game, that kind of is a stinker for Memphis. And, like I said, they're just trying to hopefully climb up regain as much of that momentum as they had. They got a really tough game. That if you told me going on the front end, you got one game to be worried about at Sacramento or at Portland, I'd be more worried about the Portland game coming into, which they have tomorrow night. And then you still got to go to the Clippers. But it's kind of just grind through the rest of the regular season, try and recapture the juice as best you can, and then make sure you are fully healthy coming down the stretch. It should be your goal at least. They still got games versus the Thunder and Lakers and the Celtics at the back end of this month too. So these are not the ones you want to be dropping at the moment.
All right. Last night was the first game of a 5-game road trip for the Grizzlies. As you mentioned, they play at Portland tomorrow night. They go to the Clippers on Friday, and it continues. Next Tuesday, they're at Utah, and then they finish up a week from Thursday at OKC before coming home, like you said, taking on the Lakers and the Celtics to close out the month of March. So not getting a tough stretch, off to a good start last night with that 10-point loss to Sacramento.
It'll be okay, though. They're only a game back still of the 2 seed. 2 through 5 is just going to be wild down the stretch with Houston, Denver, LA, and Memphis all vying for it. Golden State might be able to creep up, but they're still trailing by 4 games. So it feels like those 4 teams are the ones that are kind of going to be in flux. And it really, in my mind, is going to come down. I'm not rocket science when I'm speaking here, that whoever finishes the strongest is going to be in the best shape. But Memphis, the goal should be get a 4 seed. You know, you would dare to dream for a 2, of course, but the goal should be trying to at least secure a home court advantage in the first round and get everybody healthy, get everybody back in rhythm, get Triple J going back to the form that he was before the injury, and then take your chances from there.
Things have gone from bad to worse for Philadelphia on the floor. Now, maybe things have gone from good to better for the 76ers in terms of the draft. Paul George is out for the rest of the year. He's only played 41 games to start with, but he's got an adductor issue and a knee issue, receiving injections in both here over the last 24 hours. Already, the Sixers were without Joel Embiid for the remainder of the season. George hasn't played in about 2 weeks. March 4th was his last action, and he is done for the year.
Hey, right around the time he announces he's putting the pause on his podcast, he also put the pause on his regular season. And you're right, Philadelphia is kind of just they are in the SAG for flag sweepstakes at the moment.
This is first season in Philadelphia. Obviously, they were expecting better. So,
I mean, those 2 injuries alone, and I know that it's been a touch and go all season long, but they have absolutely imploded, and we're basically looking at you have super long-term question marks about Embiid. His MVP days are far gone, I'm afraid, now, that we probably won't be returning anytime soon. What can you get out of him going forward? That should be the first question, at least in my mind, if I'm a part of that front office, is seeing, is he a guy that you can still build your team around, with George perhaps? But if Embiid is not a guy that you could potentially build your franchise around at this point, that obviously opens up other questions, and that kind of leads you to make your next move.
Certainly. Tyrese Maxey has been banged up for the Sixers all year as well. He has not played since March 4th, currently out with a finger sprain and a lower back sprain. Maxey has played in 52 games, though, so there's that. Philadelphia 23-44. 4-17 over their last 21, which ties them for the 6th worst record with Toronto. So,
yeah, it's been grim, and my heart goes out to my girl Kate Scott, good friend, and she's doing the best she can. But I would not want to be suiting up doing play-by-play every night for that team. She's hanging in there, but it's been grim.
That would be combat pay qualifying, you would think, if you have to watch that team for 82 ball games. Unrivaled wrapped up its season last night, Wade. I didn't get to watch nearly as much of this as I would have liked to have, but apparently the Rose won it on a buzzer beater from half court by Chelsea Gray, earning $50K each for her and her teammates. So big win in more ways than one for the Rose over the Vinyl, 62-54. They, as we talked earlier about this, they used the Elam ending, and so they were the first team to 62.
Yeah, it was. I didn't get to watch as much as well, but I mean, I did know that that is a massive upset. What happened on Sunday night when the Lunar Owls got eliminated? Ephesia Collier obviously has been dominating. She won the one-on-one tournament during the All-Star break. I mean, she's kind of just really had this league in the palm of her hand, and then poof, in the blink of an eye, the Vinyl ousted them on Sunday night. But then, obviously, the Rose taking care of business as Chelsea Gray. Talk about a wild way, too, right? I mean, a half-court buzzer beater to sink it. And, she gets $50K, but she didn't have to pay for any drinks after that as well for the rest of the night.
There you go. The vinyl falls despite 22.6 boards from Ryan Howard of the Atlanta Dream, the University of Kentucky, and Bradley Central High School. So congrats again to the Barretts, by the way. Semifinalists won $25,000 each. The runners up got $50,000, and the Lunar Owl somebody got $50,000 to share amongst Nafisa and her teammates. So, I guess this was from the mid-season one-on-one tournament that this money was being given out. I guess they just gave it all out last night, right at the end, just write a bunch of checks. So, the Rose won despite Angel Reese not playing. Apparently, she injured her hand in the semis.
She was our defensive player of the year. So, I mean, getting a win without her seems pretty monumental, right? They allowed a league low. Only I don't have any way to frame or reference the basis off of, but they allowed a league low 65.2. I sound pretty smart telling you guys that, though.
Absolutely. Here we go. Winning players on the Rose each received a championship bonus of $50,000, nearly a quarter of the average salary of roughly $220,000. So that's a nice little chunk of change when you can get 25% of your total salary off of one game or one postseason. That's not a bad way to go. Mark, did we lose Wade? Did I lose Mark? I've been abandoned.
He lost connection.
Oh, okay. He's back, I think. Are you back, Wade?
Yeah, StreamYard died on me right when I was getting in the midst of breaking all the ins and outs. I was getting ready to tell everybody that Angel Reese had the first ever 2020 game in league history. Well, guess what? The league's only been in existence 1 year, but that's a pretty sweet feather to stick in your cap. A 20 game, whether it's in the Unrivaled or the WNBA, has got to be celebrated.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. Yeah, 20 points, 20 boards in a game. That's solid at best. So, let's take our final break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, it's Top 5 Tuesday. Wade and I will give you our top 5 most memorable March Madness upsets. Stick around.
Only in Smashville are opponents welcomed with some good old-fashioned Southern hospitality. We'll give you a hand, cheer you on. Hey, we'll even leave a light on.
Forgot that. Hey, let's go Stros.
People are amazed at the variety and quality of guests we bring into Main Street Sports Today. But when you've been in this business for nearly 40 years and you never throw away a phone number, it's pretty easy. Right, Wade?
Absolutely.
And Wynn agrees with me.
Check out some of our guests featured on Main Street Sports Today.
Step back and catch my breath. But I expect nothing less from you, big boy. Let's get going.
We make it work pretty good. So
the fans are tremendous. It's fantastic.
It was really amazing.
They call it performance. Yeah.
From preps to pros, you never know who's going to stop by. So be sure to listen to and watch Main Street Sports Today from 2 to 4 p.m. daily on the MSM TV app. It is Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. This is the final segment of the show, which means it's time for Top 5 Tuesday. Wade and I bring you our top 5 on some topic, somewhat random, but somewhat chronologically based as well. And as we are just beginning March Madness with NCAA tournament action starting tonight with the first 4 in Dayton, figured it'd be a good time to give you our top 5 best/most memorable NCAA tournament upsets. Mr. Neely, the floor is yours.
Should be a fun topic, Mo, and this kind of just gets the juices going, like you said, for the rest of the week. First on my list, let's just start with the big dog, right? UMBC over Virginia, 2018. Not only did they win by 20, 74-54. Not only did they win by 20, their SID, Zach Seidel, goes viral because the account is absolutely dragging and just winning the internet with every single bucket. So not only is Virginia getting pummeled on the court, they're getting pummeled on social. Shout out to The Wire. I mean, everybody from UMBC was rocking because that place was putting on for the city of Baltimore. And what a historic win. That's got to be my number one.
That was a wild night. The first time a number 16 had beaten a number 1 on the men's side of the bracket. So congrats to UMBC. And I saw that coach's name, Ryan, and I just went blank on his last name. He bounced out of there, and I think and rightfully so, and has done pretty well.
He's at VCU. Ryan
there
Odom.
we go. Yeah. As opposed to Tobin Anderson, who led number 16 seed Fairleigh Dickinson to a 63-58 win over Purdue 2 years ago. Bounced out of there, replaced Rick Pitino at Iona, and just got fired this weekend. So, long-term, good idea. Short-term, not so much, but give me FDU over Purdue, the second number 16 over a number 1 as my number 1 biggest upset.
No doubt. And while we're letting them rip, I'm going to go with the biggest on the ladies' side. Go back to 1998. Number 16, Harvard, a member of the Ivy League, which I saw this week. The Ancient Eight, they call them now, which I love that, by the way. So 71-67, they knock off not just a dog, but a real big dog in Stanford. So props to the Crimson on getting that one done and kind of breaking the mold in the women's game, which historically has not seen as many upsets. That obviously has got to be number 1.
Yeah. The Ivy League on a come up. They got 3 teams in this year's field, although 2 of them are playing in the first 4. Columbia is playing Washington on Friday. Princeton is playing Iowa State on Thursday. That's tough. Okay, so the good news is we're going to take 3 of your teams. The bad news is 2 of them are going to play in the first 4. But yeah.
Let's see how you do.
Yeah, Ratsa Ruck. My number 2, I'm going to go close to home. This is an original. I was actually at Memorial Gym back in 1982 when Middle Tennessee State ruined a Kentucky-Louisville matchup in the second round of the NCAAs. Number 11, Blue Raiders, with a 50-44 win over the number 6 seed Kentucky in that one. Huge. Lost a lot of money by going to that ball game because I had been offered all sorts of bucks. Me and the 3 guys that I went with had been offered like $300 for our tickets from folks wanting to see Louisville, Kentucky, because they rarely played. I don't know how long it had been since they had played at that time, but they hadn't played in a long time. And it's like, no, we want to see that too. So, yeah.
And got the dub. Yeah. MTSU with some historic wins. And that's the one that, kind of really got things. That's the most monumental, maybe not the most recent, obviously, but certainly the one that kind of broke the mold, it feels like.
Absolutely. Number 3.
Number 3 for me, this is zero bias put into this whatsoever. But 2014, the Mercer Bears, all they did was just peel off a 78-71 win versus Duke. The Blue Devils were flying high. They were already romanticizing how they might go up against Tennessee and knock them out the next round. But Mercer says, not so fast. and they clip them by 7 points. So the 2014 Mercer Bears, who did lose by 20 in the very next game to Tennessee, but a win's a win, and the memories will live forever as they knock off the Blue Devils.
A win is a win, and the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? So go Bears. This game sticks out to me because, again, I was sitting with a guy at a sports bar, and we were eating and minding our own business back in 2013, and he had second seeded Georgetown in his bracket, winning the whole shebang. Well, Dunk City, 15 seed Florida Gulf Coast, said nay, 78-68 Florida Gulf Coast over Georgetown final. That one just still to this day resonates with me, and that's my number 3.
Epic pick, epic game, epic night, epic team. And then it led to the epic headline as 2 years later, the Washington Post, when Georgetown brings 2 Chainz back on campus, they said they invited 2 Chainz, ... who will inevitably probably be upset by a 15 seed, or 15 Chainz, excuse me. So shout out to the Washington Post for having some fun with the local team there. I love that angle too. That was an epic Dunk City run, and that one obviously is the thing that kickstarted it.
Is Andy Enfield still at USC?
I don't think so.
Where
did he end up to? He went to
was it SMU? He went
he went. I knew he went back to the. Yeah, he's at SMU now.
Okay, all right, yeah. Because I mean, when you get one of those, you've gotta bounce pretty much afterwards, which is basically what happened on our favorite campus a couple of years after Middle Tennessee State, as the number 15 seed in 2016, knocked off second seed at Michigan State 90-81 over in St. Louis. They came back the next year and picked off Wisconsin. It wasn't a 15-2. I think that was like a 14-3. But and then Kermit raised up and went down to Ole Miss. But when you put yourself on that national stage like that as one of these mid-majors, you kind of got to use that as an opportunity for upward mobility. Just it's almost like you got to go whether you want to or not, basically.
Yeah, we see it, and we saw it with Enfield. That was kind of the sexy hire, and had a good little run at USC. Went above 600, 220 and 147. And he went 23-10, just missing maybe the cut this season with SMU. So we'll keep tabs on old Andy down there in the Dallas area. Number 4 for me, flashback to 85. You got to have some big stones to be an 8 seed and win this whole thing, but that's exactly what Villanova did, and they did it in dramatic fashion, knocking off kind of the giants. Shout out to Georgetown yet again here, the Hoyas. Kind of the punching bag for us on this show, 66-64. But not only did they do that, Mo, they knocked off my beloved Michigan Wolverines as the 1 seed to get there. They knocked off number 2 seed North Carolina. And then you get to that Final Four. Memphis State, the only team that was crashing the party from outside of the Big East, with Nova, St. John's, and Georgetown all making it. And then just to add a little extra nugget to Villanova and Rolly Massimino in that great run, they were the only game in town because during that period, Villanova had disbanded its football team, and they are still the last school to win the NCAA tournament without an active football team.
Oh, wow.
They restored it like 5 years later. Mm-hmm. They're probably like, hey, we got to cash in and make some more money. Basketball is making too much money here. We got to cash in on football. But they are the last active team to win March Madness that did not have a football team.
That's wild. That's a heck of a nugget, Mr. Neely. You always come up with them. Was that your number 4 or your number 5?
That's my number 4.
Okay. I don't know how I got ahead of you.
You were on a heater there, and you were talking about Kermit. You got excited about Kermit and said, "Let me snag these guys."
Oh yeah, my fault. I jumped line. Take your number 5.
Number 5 for me. MTSU's involved in this, but unfortunately in a roundabout way. But go back to 2007, and then the women's side, Marist. biases aside in this game. But Marist, the 13-seeded Foxes, they knock off Ohio State 67-64. One of the bigger upsets, their conference, I think it was the MEAC, they were like 1-27 all time in NCAA tournament games prior to that victory. The only downside of that, even as impressive and as monumental as that upset was, MTSU was waiting in the next round, and you're thinking, MTSU don't have to play Ohio State. They're in great shape. Wrong. Marist wins and advances even further. But they picked off the Buckeyes, which has got to be my number 5 selection.
I had forgotten about that, but yeah, I remember that now. That was a tough run for the Lady Raiders there. Got some blowback out of that Marist Ohio State game, like you said. So yeah, we will keep it on campus. One of the biggest comebacks in NCAA tournament history. Playing again at Memorial Gym, MTSU scored the final 21 points and defeated Florida State 97-83. Beat them by 14. They were down 7 late, 83-76 with 5 minutes and some change remaining. Mike Buck from Clark Range High School, 26 points, 23 of those in the second half, 15 in a row as Middle defeated Florida State 97-83 again. That was 13th seeded Middle Tennessee State defeating number 4 seed Florida State down at Memorial Gym. Middle has had some solid performances in the NCAAs. Unfortunate we didn't get to see one of those this time around. But yeah, it's a pretty solid list. I really thought Kentucky and Oakland from last year would show up between the two of us, but didn't quite get there.
Well, I mean, if you're going to pick Kentucky, I would have to go with St. Peter's a couple years before that even, when the Peacocks were flashing around and Calipari really kind of his head was spinning. Felt a little too cheap just to Cal was maybe already on his way out, whether he wanted to be or not last year. So I gave him a little bit of a reprieve. But yeah, if I was going to pick one, I'd have to go with St. Peter's as the 14th seed a couple of seasons ago.
And that was probably the bigger upset, actually. But yeah, I know that we are a little bit of a victim of recency bias, so I had thought maybe that would work its way in for one of us. But that is our top 5 best, most memorable March Madness upsets, and that's going to do it for the Top 5 Tuesday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Be sure and join us at 2 o'clock tomorrow as we will be coming to you from the Murphy Center on the campus of Middle Tennessee State University, where we will be hanging around for the boys basketball state tournament. Got some locals involved in that. Santa Fe going at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Loretto going at 4 o'clock tomorrow. We'll be on hand for all of that. We'll also have Joe Sullivan from Dayton, and we will have our NASCAR analyst Heather Williams as our guest tomorrow. So again, 2 o'clock, check us out. We'll see y'all then.